brothers. Thank you for joining us tonight for the LCA Labor Forum. This forum is what do we want from the Biden administration in the state of Florida. So welcome, good evening, and I will pass it over to Juan.
Hello, everyone. I am Juan Godoy. I help out Lorenzo with LCA, and just for everybody.
You're the co-chair.
Yeah, but just
Go to setting.
I think I may need to mute somebody here. Okay, but just for everybody to know a little bit of history about LCA, it was founded in 2015. A group of South Florida activists, Lorenzo, Jack Lieberman, Victor Nieto. They were like the Coalition for a Progressive Platform, and then the United Front for against Trump, and then it became Labor Community Alliance of South Florida, affiliated with Our Revolution, Justice Democrats. And basically, Labor Community Alliance is a grassroots organization built by a diverse group of people united to defend and protect democracy while advocating to progressive standard of living for all. This mission is to support and foster unity amongst forward-looking people. We want you to be on LCA, attend a few meetings. A lot of things happen in our meetings. If you need help pushing some issue, you want to help, we take on actions. We on the items, we have a priority list. You can visit our website, laborcommunityalliance.org. And we're trying to not only be Miami, so now Broward and Palm Beach people are into LCA, and we'll try to expand as we can to the rest of the state or country. I'm gonna play a little video. It takes only a minute or two for you to see more about LCA. So that's the introduction to LCA, and now I will pass the microphone on to Bill Soares, the president of ARA.
Thank you, Juan.
I am the president of the Florida ARA, not the national ARA. Thank you. But I want you to know that from a federal standpoint, our main issues for the Florida Alliance are the protection and expansion of Social Security and Medicare. And a lot of the issues that you folks support, you know, $15 an hour, things of that nature, we also support, because the better paying jobs that people have, the more money goes into the Social Security and the Medicare trust funds, and then that strengthens those trust funds. So, you know, we're happy to participate. Our organization represents 196,000 union retirees and community activists. We will be having meetings every quarter for our different regions, Miami being one of them. And then we will be having state meetings every quarter as well, so that we can keep everybody informed and try to organize all of the different retiree organizations that all of the different locals have, and make sure that we're in a position where we can get a new governor and a new U.S. Senator in 2022. So welcome, have a great meeting, and thank you very much. And I'm not sure who's next.
I believe, Juan, you're supposed to do an introduction of Curtis.
Yes, I am now gonna introduce Mr. Curtis Hierro. He will speak on the PRO Act.
Good evening, Mr. Curtis. I'm Janice Copley, the timekeeper. You have up to 4 minutes. You'll either hear me or you'll hear my buzzer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I'll go ahead and jump right in. Very happy to be here with you all. This is a huge priority for our labor movement, and I am excited to talk about the PRO Act. Question, can someone give me screen sharing privileges if possible?
I will do that right now, Curtis.
Awesome. So just as a background, I work with CWA in our political program here in Florida. I see Glenda's on the call. This has been a national priority for our union, as well as many others, and as well as community organizations. So very excited to talk with you all about the PRO Act and talk about what the Protect the Right to Organizing Act does. So I have a little PowerPoint. I'm only going to go over a couple pieces, but I thought it would be helpful in explaining the PRO Act to be able to have some visual help right here. So let's go ahead. Sorry about that. All right. So the PRO Act is also known as HR 842, also in the Senate as Senate Bill 420. What this does is strengthen the right to organize, right? The PRO Act would be the largest, or I would argue the most significant labor reform we've seen in decades. It bans unfair anti-union activities such as captive audience meetings. I'm sure many of us have heard of this. When organizing new shops, the boss will force workers to hear anti-union propaganda for an hour. Sometimes they do it multiple times a week. This was a core tactic used by Jeff Bezos and Amazon in attempting to crush the worker organizing that was happening up in Bessemer recently that made the news, right? This also, the PRO Act creates penalties and remedies for the illegal retaliation, things like firing workers for organizing. Now you might be thinking, well, we already have that on the books, but what this does is expedite the process and increase the penalties that are on companies. So if they're union busting, they're gonna pay a significant price, and it's gonna be an expedited process. They're not gonna be able to wait us out like they usually try before the NLRB. The PRO Act also prevents misclassification of employees, such as independent workers and supervisors. So all too often we have companies that misclassify folks as independent contractors so they can skirt providing benefits and healthcare, this will provide remedy for it, right? I know, like, I'm a big wrestling fan, right? If you watch WWE, a lot of those wrestlers, they're classified as independent contractors and they're out there beating up their bodies. They're not eligible for healthcare. I think that's one of the most prominent kind of industries where we see that taking place among many. This also strengthens the right to bargaining, right? The PRO Act facilitates initial collective bargaining agreements. So once again, we know how in doing no organizing, companies try to wait us out the bargaining table. This will create a forced arbitration process around contract negotiation. It also helps us neutralize free rider, or what I like to call right to work for less laws. So we would be able to negotiate in places here like Florida that are right to work for less. We can negotiate in our contracts the ability to have all folks in the bargaining unit pay a fair share fee. So maybe they're not full-fledged dues-paying members, but guess what? They still have to pay their fair share fee if they're part of the collective bargaining unit. So it strengthens our ability to strike, right? This is a big tool in the arsenal of CWA, something we believe in, that it protects our ability to strike. It allows for secondary strikes and boycotts. So when our AT&T core folks went out on strike 2 years ago, our AT&T mobility side, for example, couldn't go out on strike. But if this passes, they would actually have the ability to do solidarity strikes, and we would be able to see cross-sector organizing, much like we saw in the 1930s and 1940s, the type of militant labor organizing and striking among large sectors of the economy that allowed labor to have the power that we had in the middle of the century. Additionally, the PRO Act bans permanent replacement of striking workers. So it helps us strengthen our ability to strike without, companies trying to just toss our folks asunder permanently. And so I'll go ahead and stop there and say, I don't know if we're gonna do Q&A later or if folks have any quick and dirty questions on what I just presented.
Go right ahead. We still have time. Anyone has any questions?
I do have one, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
For Curtis.
Yes, sir.
Hey, afternoon. Name's Enrique Reyna, organizer with Economic Justice Coalition Worker Center here in Georgia, and I'm just grateful for the invite, and I'm gonna pick your brain if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So on the PRO Act, I know that it's going to, when we pass it, it's going to take away the right to work laws in the right to work states, right? And one of the things that we're dealing with here in Georgia is preemptive laws that ride right alongside that right to work ideology. Do we know if the PRO Act touches on that, or on those preemptive laws that?
So I could tell you,
here in Georgia, you can't sign any. Go ahead.
No, go ahead finish that point on Georgia.
Yeah, just that there's multiple preemptive laws that kind of right along the whole right to work. So you can't touch on wages with any agreements with any state or city municipalities, and of course that affects a lot of labor, right? A lot of organizing. So I guess we know preemptive laws.
That's a very good question. In terms of what I do know, it technically would not ban right to work, but it would neutralize it because you could still have a right to work state, but what it would say is in our contracts, we could negotiate a fair share fee, right? And so it would mandate that we could do that. So that would overwrite any state law that bans us from doing that. So technically the state could still say their right to work, but it would then mandate that a fair share fee, if you're able to negotiate it in your contract, that would supersede the state law. In terms of some of the intricacies about existing state by state law, I don't have that answer because I'm not well versed in Georgia. But this would, since it's federal legislation, overwrite. It would mandate the ability to negotiate fair share fee regardless of whatever any state passes.
Thanks, Curtis.
In the chat, I saw a question are from Jeff Brown, are all Democrats in the Senate in support of the PRO Act? No, there are 3 holdouts. Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, Senator Sinema of Arizona, and Senator Kelly of Arizona, who we are putting a lot of pressure on. Before my time is up, I just wanted to make one more note. CWA, we're working with many community partners, many other unions, to pressure one of our own senators, Mr. Marco Rubio here in Florida. Folks might have recalled earlier today, as people were jumping on, we were talking about an action we did at his office. We are doing phone banks that we actually have scheduled this coming up this month in May that I wanted to invite everyone to join. So in the chat right now, I posted a link. If you are able to join us, I have a number of dates and times in there. We would love to be able to work with you and put the pressure, our own pressure, on Mr. Senator Rubio. The reason for focusing on Rubio is very clear. You might be thinking, well, he's a Republican, he's not going to support us. He is up in 2022. And we want to make a clear case that if Marco Rubio does not stand with working people, we're getting his ass out of there in 2022. And we're going to educate every single union member in the state, Republican, Democrat, Independent, to know that he didn't stand with us. And so if you can join us for a phone bank, please do in the chat. You can go in there, plug in your information, and we'll follow up on how you could join us for a phone bank. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. All right. We are going to have a message from APWU Retired Division. Ms. Charlene Butler, are you introducing?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. I'd like to introduce to you my co-worker and my good friend, who is the state president of the Retirees chapter, Alicia, Vicky Alicia.
Hello, hi everybody.
Hi, it's so good to have you on here. She's in Jacksonville.
Actually, I'm in Orlando. I'm Central Florida.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have you.
Well, it's glad to be. I don't know what it's all about, but I'm trying to listen and find out. So.
Well, you see Bill on here for Flair.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Vicky, do you have anything to say real quick before Angel introduced each panelist?
Well, no, just a pleasure to be here, and thank you guys for inviting me. I appreciate that. I'm just trying to see what this is all about. I think you guys are doing great work from what I understand and from what I hear. So just want to say hello to everybody and thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I'm going to turn it over to Angel. Angel is going to introduce each panelist with their name and organization. And everybody, do we need to stand up and do exercise or something that I do with my Girl Scouts? Because everybody seemed like they had a huh?
You have to give them cookies.
Do I have to give you some music? Oh, cookies not till next year, Lorenzo. All right, go ahead. Angel. Is Angel here?
Yeah, he was.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what's wrong with my camera that's not working, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, well, let me, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to introduce the speakers, and we had very impressed list of speakers. Give me 1 second, please.
And after
We're
Angel,
gonna have the speakers from different unions, from the public sector and the private sector. We're gonna have Ms. Carla Hernandez Matt from the Teachers Union of Dade County, the president. We're gonna have Richard King-Constance, he's the vice president of South Florida, but also he's a league organizer for the Laborers International Union. We're gonna have Mark Shulman, he's the president of the South Florida Building Trade Council, plus he's also the business manager of the operating engineer local in Miami. And we're gonna have from the SEIU Healthcare Union, Mr. Shelton, and from the president of Ethnic Local 1184, Ms. Phyllis Talley. And that's the list of speakers that we have for today.
all right, thank you. Well, we're gonna get started with our panelists. And each panelist is to share their view, no more than 4 minutes. What can we expect during the Biden administration? And what can we do in Florida to safeguard the rights of working people? And each panelist will have 4 minutes. And introduce yourself. And if we didn't do a great introduction, you give us a little bit more. So we will start with the president from United Teachers of Dade.
Hey everyone, good evening. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm Carla Hernandez Matz. I'm the president of United Teachers of Dade. We are the largest teachers union in the southeastern part of the United States. And it's a tough place to be in Florida because Florida legislature continues to attack working people, working families, and of course the labor movement. Happy to be here Renzo and everyone who invited me and made this happen. I think I'm talking to people that are woke. You all know exactly what's going on. I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about these issues anyway, in case there's any new information that I can possibly share with you all. So I'm going to share a screen if the host lets me do it. So I need whoever the host is.
That will be Juan.
All right. Juan, if you could give me some sharing privileges, I'll really appreciate that.
I'm putting my on.
Okay, so here we go. Don't worry, I'm not gonna take that long. There's only 3 slides. Okay, so what do we got going on today? Today is 100 days. Yay! Okay, we heard our President Biden address Congress last night. And, you know, it brought me a lot of hope. I think that there are a lot of things, a lot of ambitious plans that he laid out, things that he's already just talking about vaccines and how, you know, he's been able to get over 200, not only the commitment, but, you know, really the effort that, can you guys hear me? Because my thing is saying that internet connection is unstable.
Yes.
You all can hear me good?
Coming in and out.
So, say it again.
It's coming in and out.
Okay, I will try to, I don't know if my position will be better this way. Okay, so in the first 100 days, he's been able to talk about these initiatives. Obviously, the PRO Act is important, and I know that's been talked about today. There was a press conference today. This is gonna be key. But for us here in Florida, you know, in particular with Miami-Dade and educators, I think that the influx of money that's coming in through the American Rescue Plan is a piece of legislation that we have to talk about and we have to address. You know, here in the state of Florida, the pandemic has really created all the deficiencies that our state government has. You know, everything from unemployment, you know, how everything just kind of did work out and it was hit and miss. And, you know, so many different things that have happened in the state have, you know, has really brought a light to inequities. So here in Florida, more than 31,000 people have died from COVID-19. Everybody knows somebody with COVID, and almost every single family has suffered the loss of somebody that they love. And so, you know, we've seen how, you know, unemployment has increased, and you know, it's just it's sad to see the nutritional gaps that exist in communities as well. And all of these things obviously directly affect our students and the kids that we teach in our classrooms. So the American Rescue Plan in Florida in particular, I'm not going to generalize this to, you know, every state in the country, but here in Florida, this plan is going to bring $9.2 billion in state fiscal relief. 7.6 billion in local fiscal relief, and more than 7 billion relief for K-12 schools. So I'm going to focus on that aspect because I believe that there's a lot of people that might want to talk about different aspects on different issues. But for us, that's important in the labor movement because we're going to be able to negotiate terms and conditions and things on how this money is utilized in our school district. And so that means that we're going to have, summer that's going to open up in a way that's more robust than we've probably seen in the last 20 years in Miami-Dade. That means that this is going to create employment opportunities. That means that this is going to bring money into people's pockets, which obviously it generates our local communities, more people are, it helps us to be safer, or not safer, but to have, to have this, the income, generating jobs. But what we need to do as a labor leader, not only make sure that I have, the safety, and follow the CDC guidelines, make sure that these protocols are being followed, but of course make sure that this money goes to proper use, and to whatever the parameters are that the federal government is giving us. Here in the state of Florida this year, again, they have tried to bring about union busting laws. I don't have to tell you all, I'm preaching to the choir. 1014 was a serious threat this year. I say was, but the game is not over. I mean, session, we really can't think that this thing is over. They have direct our labor organizations. They don't want us to exist. This is something that has been part of the agenda. And, we are already a work with no rights state. And they do this on purpose. They want to minimize our power. They talk about 50%. They talk about protecting our freedoms, and that this is, for those people who need paycheck protection. You all know that that is a bunch of jargon that is not real. It was garbage, right? This is about taking away people's freedoms. This is telling grown folks that they don't know what they signed up for. This is about telling unions that they should not exist because they don't want our collective actions and our collective power. And so, we need to on organizing. That's going to be key, because, in this state, this is what they're coming after. This is not new. And we can't say that this is a fairy tale and it doesn't exist, because it's happened in other states. And they've come in and they've dismantled public sector unions. And then, it's created, a major disenfranchisement, more than what already exists. We know that a part of the things that are going to help us in this administration is that, President Biden last night, he was talking about racial equity. He was talking about climate justice. He was talking about labor unions. He was talking about things that bring music to my ear, right? We haven't had a president or leadership that is really talking about these issues that we've been talking about for a really long time. And so not only is money coming in, but the importance of labor and why unions need to continue to exist. And so this PRO Act is going to be key to all of our private sector unions. But in the meantime, all our public sector unions need to continue to organize, because they came at us this year. They're going to come back at us again next year. So this thing is not over. And we need to, change the rhetoric, change the conversation, really talk to folks, because, we have a lot of people here in South Florida that we have not been able to reach. And I'll say it, from my point of view, I think there's a lot of misinformation in brown communities. My Latino folks, a lot of them do not get it. I don't know what it is, but they just don't. And, understand that, whatever the misconception is in Latin American about what a union is, un sindicato, el gremio, what the are and what we do here are vast. And, how we connect with folks, how we let them know that we care about them, their rights, and the middle class is going to be key. So I will end by just sharing this other picture with you all. Remember to let folks know that the labor movement brought you all of these things that we currently enjoy, and there's still a lot of things that we need to work towards and fight for. And so our work is never over, and it certainly isn't over now.
All right, thank you, thank you. Next we will have is Mark. Mark is on.
All right. Yep, I'm here.
I'm going to ask Mark a question that I can deal with three different
Excuse me,
topics.
we're not
No.
doing questions
Hey,
yet.
yeah, we're not doing the question yet,
Not
Andrew.
doing the questions yet. We let the
Okay.
speaker
I'm sorry.
itself and speak on the item we stayed of. After each speaker has spoken, then you all will ask the questions. Okay, Mark.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Carla's a tough act to follow. I'll tell you, she's a great speaker, and she's done so much for labor, and she's in Tallahassee, we talk about hurricane season starting June 1st. It starts when Tallahassee takes session every year, and And she does a great job of fighting those off for her members and everybody else in unions too. But I'm happy to join everybody. I know a lot of people on the meeting tonight, and some of you I haven't met, so I'm just going to consider you a friend I haven't met yet. But you know, I'm a construction worker by trade, and we're in building trades construction, and we're set up structurally different than most unions. We don't have a single employer. We have multiple employers. So our members may work for one contractor, and then they finish that project and go to the next contractor. So you know, it's different setup, and we make extra a little more money, but we're out of work a lot of times, and that's when we're need workman's compensation from the state of Florida. We're at a injury prone, you know, there's a certain hazards on the construction projects, and we get workman's comp quite a bit for our members, and it's the worst you can find in the country. Only 35% of the people get unemployment compensation, even though they're entitled to it. So in Florida, the environment is as tough as it gets. Federally, you got to admit, it's a breath of fresh air to have Biden in office. His speech yesterday was great.
Angel, one moment, please. Angel, thank you. Go.
You know, his speech yesterday was amazing. He talked about unions building that middle class, and that was such a breath of fresh air to hear. You know, but what's important that Biden's put together is the Infrastructure Act, $2 trillion. It sounds like an enormous amount of money, but you know, we have more D and F rated bridges and roads in this country than anything. And you know, all these big corporations benefit by our interstate and our ports and our airports. Those are paid for by tax dollars. But we need to keep all these things going. But that's the kind of work that we do. You could see us all along the highways, nuclear power plants and things like that we help maintain and run. But that infrastructure, you don't realize it. For every dollar you invest in infrastructure, the return is $1.64 into the economy. So that money, that when construction workers get that money, they upgrade their homes, they buy things, they go out to dinner, they get vehicles, they get health insurance back, because you only get a health insurance when you work. So they're able to go to the doctor, get dentist checkups for them and themselves. So it's a big deal when he puts together an infrastructure bill. And you think about just roads and things like that. We're talking about high-speed internet. As you talked about lead pipes, Miami-Dade County, the federal judge ordered Miami-Dade County to replace 50, 60-year-old sewer lines in there because they were leaching out sewer water into our drinking water, you know, and it's been an enormous project there. But there's a lot of cities and counties with those same problems in the country. We're going to address all those things. So that infrastructure bill was huge. And I got to commend Curtis on talking about the PRO Act. You know, I remember years ago, we were talking about the Employee Free Choice Act. Now we're talking about the PRO Act. And I think this is a game changer. This changes everything for the labor movement. And we've organized companies before, and it's been a year or 2 years to get our first contract. They fire people. It's brutal. Some people don't know what it's like to go through that process, and I feel for them. They fire them, they short their hours. And with this PRO Act, it makes takes away right to work. Right to work it kills us in the labor movement, and especially in construction. The other thing, you know, we talked about the Clean Air Act. It's going to be he's pushing too. It's a real good act that'll help us all. And we were on with a building trades meeting not too long ago, and Carla was on it when they expressed a story about clean energy. In the state of Arkansas, they replaced the schools with solar panels on the roofs. And they took the savings they had from energy and gave raises to the teachers that they were well deserved. So it shows you what we can do when we make the right choices. And you know, you think of construction is bad, but we're all about green jobs. We're about redoing lighting, solar, different types of construction that puts off a smaller carbon footprint. But we are like everybody else. We're battling for our members, and with Joe Biden in office and the counties that we got, Miami-Dade and Broward County are very pro-union, they're very pro-labor. We have responsible wages. We're working on apprenticeship ordinance at Miami-Dade. We had a meeting yesterday with the mayor and their staff, and they're looking at making the apprenticeship requirement on county projects. Apprenticeship's a little different. I'm a product of apprenticeship. I graduated apprenticeship program in 1982. And apprenticeship means you learn on the job and you, yeah, yep. All right, no problem. I'll let people talk. I don't want to take any more time, but just want to say I appreciate everybody here and looking forward to the other speakers.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker will be Miss Phyllis.
Hey, good evening.
And good evening. Go ahead.
Thank you all for inviting me. I mean, I'm just writing crazy because I'm really getting so much information. I mean, I'm excited. My name is Phyllis LaFleur. I'm the president of ASME Local 1184 for non-instructional workers at Miami-Dade Public Schools. What I got out of last night is Joe Biden. I was so excited. I was hollering and, you know, I was just, oh my God, with what we've been going through over the last 4 years. He just really brought some light into my life and the labor life. And when he spoke about middle class and how the billionaires and the millionaires have not paid taxes in the last 4 years, and the way he was gonna take that money and put it back into the middle class, that was very exciting to me. I mean, back with working people, where the money should have been anyway. He spoke about labor unions, and that brought a light and excitement to me, knowing that he's with labor. With all that we're going through, I was very impressed of the clean air, lower health care, and job protection. So I was just so excited. I'm just happy to know that, you know, we as labor and everyone on here, and with all this knowledge, especially with the fair share fee and bargaining unions, where I want to learn more about that. And I heard Curtis, and I need to get some information from him because I really want him to give me enough information on negotiating on fair share fee. I'm just excited to be here and hear what I'm hearing and you know, getting all the information that I need to move forward. So I thank you all, and I'm just writing, and I just appreciate being on today. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker, I believe, is it Curtis, SEIU senior campaign person?
No, I
already
went and CWA.
It's Nucleus Shelton.
Okay, so we have Nucleus. He's next, who wears so many different hats. Go ahead, Mr. Shelton. Nucleus? Where is he?
He might not be on because he was on the emergency room this afternoon.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a, let me see. I'm looking for him. I don't see him.
Okay.
No, the note came
What
up.
about
saying
Richard?
he had
Richard
left.
would be next up too to speak.
I don't think I see Richard.
I don't see Richard either.
Oh.
I don't see Richard.
One earlier.
Richard was on earlier?
Oh.
Okay, well, is that it for, we had several speakers, but 2 of them are not here. So I'm going,
I could actually answer Phyllis's question real quick if that would be helpful.
okay, and then
fair
I'm
share
going
fees.
to turn it over to Lorenzo because there's going to be questions to the panelists. So go ahead, you can answer, and then Lorenzo, I'll turn it over to you, okay, after that.
Okay, thank you, dear. Curtis, yeah, go ahead.
So under a closed shop state, let's say you're in California, right? Everyone in the bargaining unit automatically is part of dues deduction. So the PRO Act would not revert Florida to that, but what it would do is allow us to negotiate in our contracts the ability for everybody in the bargaining unit to either be a member or pay a fair share fee, which we would have to negotiate the specifics of what that would be. So that could be, say, 50% of what you collect in dues, you would set that, and it would be mandated anyone in the bargaining unit would have to chip that in. And so what it does is it doesn't necessarily end right to work, but it does heavily neutralize it, because it would allow us to be able to ensure that it would get rid of the free rider problem. And ensure that everyone that receives the benefit of our collective action, of our collective bargaining agreement, would also then have to put skin in the game. And it would also, usually in fair share shops, it actually helps us with organizing, because folks are having to pay anyway. So a lot of it says, hey, why not go ahead and chip that extra $5 or whatever it is and just become a full-fledged member with voting power, right? And so it would be a huge step in us building out a stronger labor movement here in Florida and another right to work for less states.
All right. Okay, I am going to turn it over to Lorenzo, but as he stated, Nicholas is in the emergency room because a couple of days ago, he was catching, first somebody hit his car stolen, then he had to catch the train, and some kids hit him in the head and bashed him in the head. So having like dizzy spell. So I guess they're gonna do a CAT scan and make sure he's okay. Keep him in your thoughts. So Lorenzo, turning it over to you.
Thank you very much, Janice. The purpose of this forum is to educate people. Most of us here are knowledgeable about these issues, but we all don't belong to the same trade. We don't all belong to the same section of the labor movement. And it's important to hear what other people have to say. It's important to hear in total what the thing is, and reflecting our organization, which is a labor and community together, a community alliance. It's very important that we are able to translate our language into the community, and it can be done. It can be done because most people, believe it or not, they do understand what we do. Gallup poll just came out with a poll that that says that 67%, 2/3 of Americans believe in unions, but that we only have 6% in the private sector. And how that is happening, that's why we need the PRO Act. Victoria, I believe that it might be more appropriate for you to ask the first question to that you had in mind.
Okay, good evening, everybody. The question that I had is, what perspectives, and this question is going to be addressed to both Carla and to Phyllis, and that question would be, what perspectives do you have regarding getting the community interested in what you do or in unions? And so let's start with Phyllis.
Thank you. My perspective is getting the community involved is just reaching out. I remember doing grassroots, going door to door, talking to people up front, letting them know what unions are and how we need to organize and what's going on with unions. We don't do that anymore. We don't do the grassroots, and I always did that from the 80s and the 90s. With my local, it was always going door to door, face to face, talking to the community, getting them involved and letting them know about their working rights. And that's what I continue to do. That's what I've been doing lately, is going face to face. I know they're doing a lot of text message, phone calls, Reddit, but my thing is going face to face, grassroots, the way that we used to do back in the days. We need to bring that back. And I think that's why we lost the majority of our seats in Florida. We did not go face to face, door to door, And that's what we need to go back into. And that's the area that I'm going, and that's what I've been doing lately.
Excellent.
Okay, so I switched over here, and I know it says Minnie Graham Fesky because she sent me her link, and I was having too much of a spotty issue with my other connection, but I'm still on, so I'm double right now. So I think that my sister Phyllis, she's absolutely correct. I mean, we have to get back to what it is that's grassroots organizing. But I think that one of the things that has helped us also is that we have also shown the community that we are part of the larger community. So, we've tried to engage with community in various aspects. So, we try to visit churches on Sundays. Some pastors will let us talk about issues in their congregation. We try to make sure that we have alliance with other grassroots organizations that, talk about issues that are tied to ours, social justice issues. Obviously, we try to be supportive of everything you all do on this Zoom. So, I don't think that anytime that any brother or sister from any labor organization has asked us to show up and support them on any, any movement, any kind of situation that we've ever said no. We've sent a representative. We've been there. We've tried to just be there for, all of our brothers and sisters. But I think that, being in front, talking to the community, being the experts in our fields, being the experts in trade, being the experts in education, being the experts in communication, all those things are going to be important because people need to understand that the people that they talk about, unionists, we're your neighbors. We are the people that sit next to you in your church pews. We are doing groceries with you. So, it's all these things that are that I think when people make these connections and understand the importance of not only what we work, who we are, but then of course, what we do in our community to, bring working conditions and rights. All of that is important.
Excellent. Angel, I think you are next.
Okay, I am Mark. You still there, right, Mark?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay, Mark. I know you went over some of the infrastructure policies and issues that is important for the building trade. But there's two other questions that I would like you to deal with it. Explain the importance of the apprenticeship program to the building trade unions, how important that is and how it works. And also, one of the biggest problems that we have organizing in Miami-Dade County and in Florida is the issue, the growing number of 1099. That's the independent contractor. And what happened was you get a job and that contractor subcontracted that job to 3 different subcontractors. So when you do an organizing campaign, it becomes very difficult. And the Department of Labor in the past have been very, very, very awful regarding wage claim.
Get to the question.
Can you, okay. Mark?
Yeah, so, if you don't understand apprenticeship, it sounds like an older antiquated term, but it's basically contractors pay to train their people. And versus somebody that goes to learn a school, you go to college and you have these huge debts after, education debts. With apprenticeship, contractors contribute. They call it a joint apprenticeship program. It's labor and management working together. The workers give up some of their salary and for their own training, but we have a huge demand. You don't build high rises and stuff without qualified people, with the high air conditioning systems you need, and the gas systems you need to build hospitals and high tech stuff like that. This comes through the apprenticeship programs. They're high tech schools that 4 to 5 years. And to graduate apprenticeship in the state of Florida, or in most of it, you got to have 2,000 hours of on-the-job training per year. So most of them are 6,000 to 8,000 hours an apprentice gets before he graduates. 144 hours of classroom time, theology, all the stuff that you need to know. So they work under the tutelage of a journeyman, and they also get the classroom study that they need. So when they graduate, they're well-rounded, they're highly qualified because there's a huge demand. We got an aging workforce in the construction industry. We got to meet that demand. There's millions of dollars being invested in these big capital projects, and you have to have people to do it. So we're recruiting and constantly recruiting and training people for these careers as a professional construction worker. So it's a win-win. The taxpayers don't pay anything for it, and they get out with zero debt, and they have a trade that'll last them a lifetime. Here I am 40 something years later, and I made my living off of what I learned in those 4 years in my apprenticeship program back in 1982. So that's the apprenticeship portion of it. And it's one of the best kept secrets in town. Yeah, I used to do job fairs and nobody knew what apprenticeship was. Do you explain it to them? And we're constantly recruiting, but we got to get the word out how good it is. On the other one is this independent contracting. And you're starting to see it more and more. And what it does, it says, if let's say you're putting trusses up in a house or a condo or whatever apartment, and you're getting paid per hour. Now the employer comes to you and says, hey, I'm going to give you so much for each one. All right. And then I'm going to pay you more money than you're making now. And that sounds great. You know, so he gets more money in his pocket. So, but what that does is that employer now doesn't pay any workman's comp because he's not an employee. He doesn't pay any unemployment insurance. He doesn't match any Social Security. He doesn't match any Medicare. That is all transferred over to this employee. Okay. And they don't know this. They don't even realize what's happening to them. So at the end of the year, they get a 1099. The IRS shows up and says, hey, you know, you owe me 20 grand here for your taxes. You ain't paid any, and they don't have it. It's a nightmare for these people because the employers kind of doesn't educate them on it. So basically you have your workman's comp being cheated because workman's comp's based on wages. So whatever if your wages go up to your employees, your workman's comps go up. That's eliminated. Your unemployment, you don't pay that. So that's been transferred to this person unknowingly. So if they get hurt, they go to the hospital, they don't have any workman's comp. And if they didn't buy their own insurance, they don't have any health insurance. It's a nightmare for these people. It's a nightmare. So it becomes a prisoner effect. When I say a prisoner, once one contractor starts doing it, he can't compete. So he has to follow suit because he's paying all these other taxes and workman's comp and wages and benefits that this other contractor's not. So it's detrimental to workers. And we got to call them out on it. It seems like a lot of governments haven't, you know, it's against the law and everybody knows it, but nobody's really enforcing it. So that's a bad thing, you know, and we're seeing it just like privatization's going on. We're seeing these public-private partnerships. They're building roads and stuff that when you see these pay lanes, that money's not going to us, the taxpayer. It's going to a private corporation that's collecting that money. In 30 years, they'll give it back over to the whatever entity, government entity is paying it. It's called the public-private projects or partnerships. But they're slowly trying to figure out ways to cheat the taxpayers out of their money and privatize everything they can because you don't pay the wages and benefits that should be being paid. So that's my little bit on how apprenticeship works and what 1099s do to workers.
I might add something, Mark, that is important to the taxpayer. When those workers get hurt, they go to Jackson, and that expenses go to the taxpayer. So the developers are getting a free ride on all of this.
Absolutely.
Right. The reason why I gave Mark a little bit longer because you gave him 2 questions at once, because there's only 2 minutes to reply to the questions. So, and that's a lot. Look like Mark, we need to have a day just for you.
I appreciate it.
And I think Curtis Lorenzo texted in the comment that he wanted to respond. I don't know if it was to that or what. So I don't know if you're going to allow him to respond.
Let's leave that for later.
Okay.
And let's continue with the agenda. Victoria, you're next.
Okay. This next question is going again to Phyllis and Carla and Nucleus, but I don't think he came back with us.
No, he's here.
Oh, he is here. Okay, yeah. Nucleus. So let's again start in the same format with Phyllis. And the question is, and I'm sure you are you taking steps to educate your membership on the issues? and I'm sure you are, but how are you going about it? Do you have meetings? Do you have seminars? So Phyllis, why don't we start with you?
Okay. Yes, I am. And yes, I have 7,400 members in my bargain unit. So very large. So I have so many different departments. So I try to do Zoom calls with each department. Also, I ordered about $4,000 to $5,000 of PPEs. So what I'm doing, I'm going to every location that I can. I have done 7 to 8 locations in the last 2 weeks. I set up a table. I put a tablecloth. I spread the PPEs and all the information. You know, when you're giving away something, everybody comes. So today I think I did about 150. I'm so tired because I was out in the sun all day doing it. Sorry, somebody calling in. I'm sorry, somebody cut in. I did about 150 today PPEs, and also I signed up about 32 new members. I'm so excited. All together over the last couple of weeks, I signed up. I think it was over 160 with all the different locations. So yes, I am out there. I'm doing it. I have my team. We're setting up. We're giving away PPEs, masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, hand liquids, gowns for them to work in. And we giving that, we pack them in a bag with our union label on there. They coming to get it. They signing up. They updating their information. We giving them the number to call Tallahassee. Their senators have their family to call. It's a lot of work, but yes, I am working it. So yes.
Good for you. Wow. Okay. All right.
So I can definitely attest that that is the case because I see her in our schools. I see her in our school board meetings. So she's out there pounding the pavement. You know, we have a very intricate structure because, you know, Phyllis can attest to this. We have about 400 sites in our entire district, from offices to schools. You know, we have a lot of buildings and we represent everybody in Miami-Dade that works for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. So, you know, it is very hard to create a very good communication structure. And so everybody does it differently. We have a newsletter that we put out every single Monday. It's called the Monday Morning Espresso. And we put out all relevant information, top stories, things that are happening. So we do that as an email form. We also send text messages to our stewards. Every one of our almost 400 school sites has a building steward at their work site. So we send out a text every Tuesday morning with a public service of, it's not a PSA, but it's a PA announcement. You know, for all of us that went to school, you remember when the teachers got a call from the office, from the PA announcement, you know, in the classroom. So we utilize it in our contract. We have contractual rights to use the PA in our school. So every Tuesday morning, we send out a text to give everybody like this day in history, something that the labor movement did, because we educate kids and we want kids to know how important the labor movement is as well. So we share like a little, did you know? And then we'll talk about a few things that the faculty and staff need to hear about. But with this session, one of the things that we started to do was we did something called the Hour of Power, like an action hour. And it was similar to what we're doing now, where everybody got on the Zoom for an hour. I asked them to commit for an hour of their time. And we created different actions. Some of them were social media actions. Some of them were emailing, letter writing campaigns. Some of them were calling their state lawmakers. We scripted everything out so that nobody felt like they didn't have the information. I created a PowerPoint presentation so that when they called, I put the number and I put the script right on the screen so that I could see them calling their lawmakers. We did pre-written emails so that they can send the emails out. We got a lot of actions. I believe that our largest, our most well-attended Hour of Power Zoom call that we did had over 350 participants. And we got all kinds of, you know, special guests. Like we got Senator Jones, Senator Pizzo. We got even our Commissioner of Agriculture. She was on there and she gave us greetings. So we just tried to get different people that care about our issues to really talk about, you know, what's going on. And empower all of our activists, because we know that we're advocates, but it's really hard to find activists sometimes. And so that's one of the kind of innovative ways, because this year, because of the pandemic, obviously finding activists has been a lot more difficult because everybody's concerned, and rightly so. So, just using multiple facets to try to make sure that we can engage with as many people as possible.
Okay.
And Carla, I'm taking care of you.
Y'all hear my buzzer?
Yeah, we heard your
Yeah.
buzzer, Janice. But
Okay.
let me tell Carla this. Carla, I take care of your people at my sites as well. With the PPEs, I take care of them, so you don't have to worry about them.
Okay.
You're awesome.
All right, go ahead, Miss Victoria.
Nucleus, you're up next.
Yeah, well, thank you. And my apologies, everyone. It's been a crazy week. I am currently at Jackson in the ER. I just finished the CT scan. Just please stay safe out there, everyone. Anywho, I care deeply about this organization, and I really wanted to be present. My name is Nucleus Shelton. I co-chair the Democratic Labor Caucus with my sister Janice Coakley, and I organize doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals at Jackson Health Systems. In terms of the question, thank you for asking it, Victoria. I think it's very important. I'm from the tradition of developing radical political thought, right? So phrasing particular ideologies and circumstances in order to, get to a bigger picture around class struggles. And what's going on in Tallahassee, I'm surrounded by labor leaders. I have deep respect for all the panelists that are on. I consider myself an infant in this compared to what these brothers and sisters have been able to accomplish in this movement. And what's going on in Tallahassee, Carla has spoken in great detail as to what's going on. And at my local, whenever we try to educate members, I always try to frame it in a way around class struggles. So the American Legislative and Exchange Commission has been working with different state legislatures in order to produce legislation to dissolve labor, right? To intentionally undermine any ability that would prevent capital to flow freely. It's been a very complicated relationship over the years between capital and labor. And this legislative session, we've seen the worst. We've seen the crazies of the crazies come out. And it's really sad what's going on. Without unions, without us being able to contest any intentional effort to put downward pressure on wages, to slash benefits. If there's not a voice to contest that, then things just happen. So I'm really excited to be a part of this forum. And Victoria, I really take a lot of responsibility when it comes to developing radical political thought. So not just these are just bad people in Tallahassee, but this is a trend that we see across the nation. Luckily we have administration now in the White House that cares about workers' rights, that cares about expanding and bolstering workplace protections. So we have an opportunity to swing back the pendulum and take away the corporate power that has been amassed during the last administration. So to answer your question, Victoria, yes, we do a lot of political education, and I'm born out of the tradition of radical political thought. So I take a personal interest in making sure that our members are fully understanding the bigger picture around these things. And I know I'm out of time. Appreciate you, Janice. Thank you, my sister.
Thank you so much. And I hope you feel better, whatever happened.
All right, Lorenzo.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's gonna be the Phyllis show. Phyllis, I would like to ask you, what are you willing to work with community groups to educate them on your issues? This is an issue that is very important to us because we consider ourselves a community group, not just a labor group, a community group. And we want to know how willing you are to work with people like us. Phyllis?
I love to work with you all. I'm getting so much information, and knowledge from you all. I'm just excited. I just reached out to Curtis to get his number, but I would love to.
Thank you very much. Let me ask people, because I got down all the names of most of the people that I have been in this forum, and in our tradition, we always share our connection, our contact, because in that way we can grow, continue to grow, and this has been a process for us to grow. So if you guys don't mind, anybody minds, please let me know. We're gonna share your phone, your email address, and if anybody wants to connect with you and want the phone number, we will provide them too. But it will be a question, people will ask. But one of the things regarding to this, Phyllis, and I'm gonna tell you how we organize. We invite you to join the Labor Community Alliance and and join your sister Janice Coakley in our effort to do the best we can to move the needle forward.
Yes, I know Janice will be on me. Janice will have me to join. Janice will keep me updated. Janice is Janice is Janice. She's a power mover. So, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, great. So we will open our arms to you and welcome you in. And there's a lot of people here. Everybody here is woke, but not everybody here is in labor. I mean, there is at least a third of the people that I see on the screen that are not on labor. So it's really important that we have that connection. And many community leaders are here. Victoria, you're next.
She looks like she is so happy. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was doing really well. Okay. This next question is for Carla. And question for UTD. Legislation bill on pension impacts educators. What is UTD doing to inform its members of the consequences of this bill?
Thank you for that question. There are a lot of really bad bills that have come through legislation this year, not just the FRS and the pension, but there was a large voucher expansion, of course, the anti-union bill 1014, and so many more that, it's just, it's really hurtful, to see all the attacks on public education, on, public service workers. I will tell you something that was a little disheartening about the particular bill that you're talking about right now. I think that a lot of the questions are interconnected. How do we help each other? How do we stay in this alliance? How do we help, to get our issues out to our folks? And I know that all of us are busy and we're kind of in our silos, but it's good to have these alliances and these networks so that we can share the information. I was disappointed when the police and fire were carved out of that pension bill, and then they were nowhere to be seen. Like, that's just not solidarity. And I say that, with a knot in my throat, because I am a true unionist, and I believe in being there for everyone, and any time that anyone has asked me to help them with something, I have tried my best to make it happen for any organization. I believe in labor. I care about what we do and, what we have in this community. And I didn't see that. And, I thought that was very telling and a little bit eye-opening, and very sad in our labor movement as well, that did not, that neither the police or the fire, when they were carved out, said, hey, if it's not good for us, it's not good for them. And, really stand strong in solidarity. But we share information in our Monday Morning Espresso. We do think that bill is dead, just like I was saying with the other one. But most of our efforts this session were really based on 1014. And and they were based on 1014, the anti-union bill, because if we don't exist as a union, then we can't even advocate for pension or any other benefit, healthcare benefits. But we do put the information out. We have a cartoonist that is a union member that does these cool little cartoons. We put some information out. Of course, we send out those emails, hoping that people will read them, and that way they stay engaged.
Great, thank you. Well, the real unfortunate thing about that bill was the fact that if they bar new hires from paying into the pension plan, after the first year, the Florida taxpayers were going to be paying the difference of that pension plan because there's not any new money coming in. And the amount was overwhelming. I mean, I just couldn't believe that they would even consider this. That would be a burden on the taxpayers having to pay the difference of the pensions by cutting off new hires from paying into the plan. It was, tell me about it. I've been doing lobby days, and I was just totally amazed that they would even consider that. But thank you for your answer.
And Victoria, I just want you to know that everyone was going to be affected in that FRS, city, county, municipal, the bus drivers that drive the MTA. It was going to be everyone, as president of UTD stated, except for the police and firefighters. So it was going to be every, unless you were a city that has its own pension. And as the president stated from UTD, like I spoke before at a meeting, when they start targeting, people do have to remember, because they did this, what it was, 20 years ago with the toll workers. They started with the toll workers, which was ASME.
Remember.
Okay. So when they start with one, they start with all. So we have to remember to be there and support our sisters and brothers. So you have a question, Victoria? If not, it goes back to Lorenzo.
No, it's going back to, you have a question?
Going back to Angel.
Angel, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Victoria. Angel, wake up.
Oh, I think that I already asked those questions to Mark. He dealt with infrastructure. He dealt with
perfect. No, it's okay, because we are time is becoming a concern. Okay, let's go to Phyllis. The question that we had in line for you is, how important is organizing to you, and if it is important what you're doing to make it easier to organize?
How important organizing is to me? Organizing is very important. It's my life. It's what I've been doing. I've been in this district for 36 years, and I've been organizing and over, I think, 24 so far. It's very important. You know, we have to organize. Union is my life. My dad was construction for 45 years. He always told me, unionize. If it's not a union job, you don't need it. But organizing is very important to me.
Are you doing anything different to organize people now than you were doing before?
Yes, I'm doing a lot different. During COVID, everything is different. So we had to set a different platform. So we're doing all type of different organizing. Like I said, from Zoom to reaching out to emails, going out. I never stop. Even through COVID, I stayed safe, but I've been out organizing from day one. I never stop.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate that spirit, because that's what builds up a movement. Victoria, you are next.
This question is going to be for Nucleus, because Richard is not here. And the question is, what can we do to get a labor-friendly administration in the state of Florida? Nucleus? Is he still with us?
Let me see.
Well, he might not be.
He might not be. He
Oh,
probably, remember,
no, he fell back off.
yeah, he's at the emergency room, and I guess maybe the doctor came in.
Could be.
That's
Let's see. We have Michael Helpin. He's a labor guy.
Well, he's from New York, and that would be
totally different.
Unfair. But we have Tony White in here. Maybe Tony White would like to
I have a question for you.
Angel.
Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead, Lorenzo.
Okay. No, I was gonna say that Tony White is here. Tony
Well,
White.
I heard you call my name, Lorenzo, but I kind of missed the question. What? Because it was something directed to nucleus. So let me see if I can tackle that for you.
The question was, what can we do to get a labor-friendly administration in the state of Florida? Besides, I know we need a Democratic governor.
Well, I think you asking a loaded question there because you already know the answer. Elections matter. The state of Florida has been under Republican control for nearly 25 years or more now. And as long as they're in full control of all three branches of government, we would never have a labor-friendly legislature. So that's where we have to come and get to work and do a better job. We can't only rely on the Democratic Party to make sure we get the right people in office. Labor has enough members when we do actions collectively to influence elections. And we're just going to have to start doing a better job, not only finding candidates, but making sure we stick together when we get those candidates to get the right people in office. Because until we do that, we're fighting an uphill battle every single session. And I don't have to tell anybody on this call that. Everybody here knows that.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you for that answer. That makes it. And so now we are, I think, back to you, Lorenzo.
Okay. Thank you very much. The question section to the panelists, direct question to the panelists has been completed. I hope people in the audience have been able to get an understanding of what we are facing and what we are trying to do. There is a few questions that are very interesting in the chat, and I will get there to see if anybody is interested in. One of the questions is basically a statement. Brandon Hotspeth, who is from LCA2 and many other hats, but he's a fantastic guy that wherever he goes, he does a good job. He makes a statement, I believe advocacy on issues is important, but power lies in having a well-organized workforce at the grassroots level. Anybody want to talk about that? Well, I am going to talk as a 40 years experience as a labor organizer. I'm going to say that he's absolutely right. The deal with being able to exercise the power that labor has, it has to start from the grassroots level, from the work site. In the work site, we need to have the ability to be able to enthuse people on the labor movement. I also see Bruce Nissen in here, who is the professor emeritus of labor at Florida International University. Maybe he wants to say a couple of words regarding all these issues. Bruce, you are on if you want to.
Well, I hadn't planned on it. I was mostly sitting in, thanks to Angel had asked me to sit in on this. But I will say I'm extremely pleased to see that there's a labor community alliance being developed in South Florida. That's fantastic. It's the kind of thing that I always tried to promote when I taught labor studies at Florida International University. I think the basic direction and the thrust of what you're doing here is absolutely right. And it is true that there is no, labor community coalitions are extremely important. I've spent much of my life trying to build labor community coalitions. On the other hand, there is no substitute for organizing at the workplace, at the work site, organizing the members. And of course, as I'm sure we all know, that probably one of the basic weaknesses of unions is the tendency to just simply leave things to the officers at the top to handle everything for the members, rather than to organize the members to fight and to struggle for their own interests. But if anybody really builds a union that's composed of people with a good substantial number of those people in the union, struggling and fighting for their interests and simultaneously for the interests of the working class, working people as a whole, I mean, if we get that kind of a labor movement, it's practically unstoppable. But we're a long ways from that. We've been knocked back a whole lot. We've got a lot of changes to make, both in the public, in the government and governmental policies. It's more hopeful at the present time. But to rebuild this labor movement, I mean, it's extremely discouraging how the labor movement in my lifetime has been beaten back and back and back and back and back. I spent my entire adult life watching the labor movement getting beaten to a pulp. And I really feel like maybe now is a time where we can turn all that around. And the way we can turn all that around is you know, if anybody knows labor history, you know that things don't, the labor movement, when it grows in spurts a lot of times. It's been some massive spurts that have really helped the labor movement become a power in the United States. And if we're honest right now, we'll say the labor movement is not a major power in the United States. We need one of those spurts. Maybe we're heading into one. The kind of work that you're doing here is exactly the kind of thing to help us build that. You got to have hope in the future. And I think it can happen. And if it's going to happen, it has to happen through organized labor, the labor movement, rank and file unionism, class conscious approach to the things that we need to achieve. So you're doing great.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you very much for not only for those kind words, but those are very rude, real words. And it's not just coming from the sky. I mean, these are based on historical experience or the reality of what made America what we always talk as America being the great middle class paradise and all that. That was the labor movement. Biden last night recognized that. That we created that middle class, that labor movement, and those people that Bruce are talking about were the people that created, and those are we are the descendants of those people, and we need to support the president agenda, and we need to continue working strongly to make sure that we make that a priority. Curtis, before we have a few minutes.
Lorenzo.
Yeah, Yanis.
Before we close, I was going to ask Curtis. Phyllis had to get off and meet with her council president.
Right.
And call for them to just share whatever they feel like from here for a minute before you close out. But I want to say to all my union sisters and brothers on here, when this ends tomorrow, when the handkerchief drop, we do not stop, because they are still out there. We'll be planning for the next session. So we have to grow our membership, and we have to keep fighting for the cause. So I just want you all to know, when that handkerchief drop, we don't just go and sit in a corner and wait for something to happen to motivate us. We have to stay motivated. So we have to keep the good fight going. So we just have Curtis on here, and we have Carl. I see Richard just got on, but we only have a couple minutes, and you know, leaving in on time. Okay.
Yes, right. I wanted to say something, Lorenzo, if I could. I want to apologize because got stuck in Jacksonville in late negotiations. We're, you know, we have a unit that does public sector work in Jacksonville, and a few of the units within that local are under 50%. And we're also negotiating a contract up here at the same time, and got pulled into late meetings. I apologize, but I really want to tell you, everybody, that the fight with labor right now, especially with organizing, it is hard. And with the laws that are trying to be pushed by the state legislation, they went after 50% before on public sector. They're going after the teachers union now. They're going after all public sector again on 50%, and it's sad. We're working so hard, especially within the union, the laborers union, with the construction workers, to try to get them to get more market share around the South, and we've broken leeway in areas like Kentucky, Georgia, that market share is starting to grow. But when you come down southern down this to the South, and you're passing the Georgia line to Florida, it's a harder battle to fight. There is so many obstacles against organized labor to do any private sector campaign successfully without being able to top down, bottom up at the same time. It's impossible. I also wanted to state that what Joe Biden said last night, especially with the PRO Act and with all the legislation that he talked about, infrastructure. These things on infrastructure and PRO Act will make life for an organizer so much easier. Especially within the right to work, so-called right to work states, they make life so hard for workers. So I just wanted to say that, and again, apologize for my late entry. If anybody wants to ask me anything, I'm here.
Nope, we got a time schedule. They're gonna have to get your number. I'm turning it back over to Lorenzo because we promised to end at a certain time, but
sure.
I believe they got your message.
One thing that is obvious is that we need more of this type of meetings. We need more of this type of forums. We need more of a connection with people in the community. We need more in order to be able to make clear the power that we all have. I love the statement that Carla made in regards to the unity that is necessary to be able to overcome the problems that we have, and we should call out when that unity is broken, and like she did, and we need to continue advocating for that unity. And one of the people from the community attending this meeting tonight, Scott Evans, has an excellent slogan for us, which is unity in the community. Now, LCA, in our motto, is labor issues are community issues. Community issues are labor issues. Sounds simple, but it's very deep because it really connects us all together in the same struggle, and the struggle of being able to understand that when they talk about the people, we are the people. We are the people, and that we need to continue. We will soon have, in a couple of months, 3 months, whatever, we will have another forum like this in order to continue to deal with the issues and keep focus on what we're doing, so we all can be kind of going together. I hope one of the things tonight that we're going to put, and this is the LCA way, and most of you that here that are not even in LCA, but knows that we do that because you are on the lists. We do, like I see Nancy Siddick, we make a point of connecting, of making a connection with people. Before we say good night, I want to encourage you to consider attending a forum that we are putting together under the direction of Dr. Marie-Flore Lindor Latortue, who has done several forums for LCA before. Well, she's a member of LCA. She's part of the leadership body of LCA. And the forum is going to be on white supremacy. Everybody that knows me knows that I consider that the #1 issue to fight against in United States today. So Dr. Lindor Latortue is putting that together. It would be Thursday, June 24th at 7 o'clock. Thank you for your attendance. We love you all. We all on the same boat. We are all in the same struggle. And if we keep our not only our hope, you know, like Jesse Jackson used to say, keep hope alive. We not only we keep our hope alive, but we continue moving forward. We will get there. We will get there. Thank you for attending our forum. Thank you for all the people that work in this forum to make this forum a reality. It was not easy. And again, love you all. Good night.
And thanks to all our wonderful speakers.
And thanks to all the wonderful speakers that were fantastic. And in the notes, I might be putting some of the stuff that people put. Thank you very much for all of the speakers, and good night, guys. Good night. Love you all. Bye.